Coming up on 1 minute. 1 minute. You guys excited? It's a big day in Boss Kitty Land. Right, kids, 30 seconds. We get to have fun. You had a terrific weekend. Take some time out for yourself coming up in 10 seconds. Hey, everybody. How are you? Happy Tuesday. Goodness. The days all just run right into each other. Big weekend for us. We had our housewarming party. We had a ton of people show up. Everybody was great. We got those door knockers. I don't know if you saw it. If you're in the Discord, look in the garden chat section. Simi's cousin, Sabrina, who painted our kitchen. She's just awesome. She also... Sabrina is a very patient person. She not only painted all the difficult to reach areas above the cabinets in the kitchen, and she's like 6'3". She's taller than I am. I'm 6'2". But she also she's worked in the veterinary world. She took some time out from the veterinary world. Now she is a driver for special education students. She's awesome. So anyway, Sabrina came and she bought us the 2 door knockers from Labyrinth. So they're on the shed door now, and I did that. And that was fun. And then, of course, last night, after the show, after Boss Kitty Live, we hit, finally, 1,000 subs on YouTube. So I don't have a confetti button, so confetti. Let's see who's here. Meat Cheese, Samantha Stewart, Beautiful Day, Bubble Toes, Killingsworth it. Hi, Emily. If I scroll back, do I see anybody else? Marie, I see you chiming in. All right, anybody else that's here? Hi. Welcome. If you'd like to chat with us, remember to subscribe. We are over 1,000 subscribers now, which makes us bigwigs, right? Small potatoes, but it's important to us because when we were at Twitch, we got to, with subscriptions, we got to allow our subscribers to use our emotes, and they're of our cats and different. They're fun, and we wanted to be able to do that again, but we couldn't do it until we were able to give channel memberships. And you got to be part of the partner program for that. And we're going to keep our channel memberships like $1, like as cheap as we can do, and that way you get your emotes and you get to have fun, play around. There's other stuff we can do. We don't really like monetizing the channel. Not really. Like, we don't ever think we'll be at a size where the income we get from views, plus we don't do regular videos, we just do lives. We don't ever think we'll be at a size where our income from our views is going to make any kind of a difference. You know, it's just going to be tiny. We just like to concentrate on Boss Kitty Shop and our Patreon and having fun doing these hangouts. So, you know, don't worry that we pushed to get to 1,000 so we could take money from you. That's not the idea. Plus, being at 1,000, because you are a monetizable channel, YouTube looks more favorably when they put you into other people's feeds as recommendations. So that's big for us. Vic C, hello, Joanna Underwood. Good to see you. Thank you for the congratulations, everybody. As part of the congratulations today, we're going to sculpt a thing that doesn't exist in the real world. A thing that, you know, lots of people get to celebrate, but nobody has a 1K sub play button. You guys are, you know, familiar with the idea that YouTube Let's do this real quick. YouTube does play buttons, right? For I think the silver one is 100,000 subscribers. This might be 1 million. Then you've got diamond play buttons. I don't know what all these are for, honestly. Oh, here it is right here. All types of YouTube play buttons. 100,000 for the silver. Gold is 1 million. 10 million for the diamond. This looks like a ruby thing. I don't even know what that is. And then, okay, so it looks like a ruby blender. Honestly, for 50 million subscribers, 100 million subscribers get you a ruby button with a diamond play symbol on it. That's pretty cool. But they don't have a 1K sub button, and you know, we worked to get here. So we're just going to sculpt one. It might not be as fancy as that shit, but it'll be good. It'll be fun, you know. It'll be our gift. It'll be our CraftHole gift back to the mothership, Boss Kitty Live. Anyway, happy Tuesday to you. It's time to chill out, do some crafts, take some time out. If you're at your desk at work and they don't really allow you to craft, maybe you should get a little book on origami and read it on the toilet. And then when you're at your desk sneaking a look at CraftHole or listen in your earbuds, you can do a little origami. And that'll be your craft. Now, you don't have to do what I do. You're not really going to learn anything from it. This is me time. Tuesdays and Thursdays is kind of just me time in the middle of the day. Do your own craft. Put something back into the world. If you want to share your craft, go on our Discord. There's a CraftHole section, and there is a space called Craft Show. And whatever you make, you just throw it up there. We'll all admire it. We'll all go, "Yay, for you, awesome!" Because we're good people that way, and we want to be supportive. Elizabeth McInnes, 1K congrats from you. Thank you. Mama Knows Best, a.k.a. Gwen. Congratulations on the milestone 1K. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of folks doing fiber-related live streams, and many of them well over 1,000 subs. We're just happy to get here so we could offer more. Right? That's all we're here for. Today there will be a lot of heating up clay. So you're going to see this window a lot. In fact, you're going to see it in just a moment because I have to go warm up some clay. Because this clay is kind of self-hardening, but it's great. It's called monster clay, and if you reheat it, you can use it over and over and over. So you can sculpt something like we did with our little, well, you know, with our fairy door. We sculpted our fairy door in clay. Turn off my inset. Sculpted our fairy door in clay, and then we cast it in resin. This is all just some gunk here, but we're going to prime it before we paint it anyway, so that gunk doesn't matter. But this clay, I've already reheated to reuse. So this original sculpt doesn't exist anymore. It will probably be part of this play button, which is great. So if you like to sculpt and cast and do things like that, I recommend monster clay or a waxed base clay, which is what this is. You heat it up, it's soft again. Where is my clay, by the way? I just had it on my table. Oh, it's in... I just talked about this. It's in the other room. I'm a million places at once. So I will go warm up that clay. I'll be back in probably less than a minute. If I'm gone more than a minute, maybe call the cops. I'll be back very shortly with some warm clay. We'll lay it out, and we'll start by working on the YouTube play symbol, and then if we have time, we'll sculpt a background for it. We'll texture that. We'll lay that in there. I don't have enough silicone mold making stuff right now to make a flat mold for it, but it should be here Thursday, and then we'll be able to do that on Thursday. So give me just a moment. Like I said, I'll be back minute and a half. Don't worry, it'll be okay. With some warm clay, and we'll get started. All right, thanks, guys. All right, it's taken just a second. A little extra minute to warm up, but I'll be right back, I promise. Also, 9.5, if you're still in here, thank you so much. We sent you a little message. We really appreciate all your help. There we go, I was muted. Told you I'd be back. Sorry about that. It took me a little longer than I thought it would. Now I have warm clay and cold coffee. So let's take out what we think we're going to need for our play button itself. Got a pretty good idea in my head. That's probably it right there. It's probably actually more than I'll need, but we'll work it all together here. Because it heats a little unevenly. If it's thinner, you can see here, if it's thinner in an area, it gets liquidy like that. And if it's thicker in an area, it takes a little longer to warm up, so just massage it all together. Getting ready to go strawberry picking with your husband and kids. Oh man, strawberries. Our strawberries failed in the garden this year. The strawberries absolutely failed. But we did get 70 pounds of cherries. And the figs will be in probably the end of July. And our fig tree is huge. It's a big fig. Warm Clay Cold Coffee sounds like a band name, or at least an album. That's all. If you do want to take up the hobby of sculpting and casting, and you get yourself a waxy clay, do not fail to get a little Lazy Susan. I got a cheese board for $2 at a Goodwill. It's just so handy because you're going to constantly want to be working on one side or the other, especially if you're doing like busts, things like that. But even with this, that's what I'm going to want to be doing. All right, let's taper. See if we can't get a basic shape before we have to warm this clay back up. Use some of the smoothing tools to some of these folds. House full of fruit fiends. Well, I haven't eaten cherries off the tree in years because this is going to sound strange. I'm from the Gorge area, the Columbia Gorge area, which is the river that divides Oregon and Washington. I'm from the Columbia Gorge area of Oregon, and there's a lot of sour cherries, right? So after a while, you get older, you know, you like ketchup less, you like mustard more. Sour cherries just didn't do it for me. So I just stopped eating them. And I didn't think about the fact that there are sweet cherries in this world. And our cherry tree is sweet cherries. Stella's, I believe. I thought for the longest time that they were coming in pink. And they were initially coming in pink. But then they became very, very cherry red. It's still sweet. So Stella's is about what I figured. It's actually going to be much larger than I intended for it to be, but you know what? Whatever. you know, no, I'm not gonna want it to be that large. Let me pull this up and take about a third of it off. How's everybody else's weekend? Everybody have a good time? What'd you do? Where'd you go? Every time I see Bubbles posting somewhere, she's always at a lake. And it's almost as if she lived in a land where there were thousands of them. Rainier cherries. Yes, Rainier cherries are fab. Super fab. Those are Washington cherries. We don't have a lot of Rainiers here down in the Willamette Valley. It's amazing that you can get such difference, such variance within a geographic region. And I think it's just a matter of what was planted rather than one out. If you drink beer in this world and it's not made from your local hops for sure, then chances are it is made from hops that come from the Pacific Northwest, and there are an abundance of those as well. There's Cascade hops, there's Willamette Valley hops. Cascade hops, I think, are the ones that are in most major beers. In fact, they're even shipped to Mexico now. So, since Bud Light apparently is no longer the #1 beer in this country, it is now Modelo. So, both of those made with Cascade hops. Trying to get this into a little dome, flatten it out slowly as I go. I am going to have to warm it back up to really carve into it. I want to get that edge sloped, and then I'll start to square it off. Once you start to square it off, that's when it starts to look like the play button. Best blueberries you ever had were from the Upper Peninsula. Okay, it took me a second. I was like, what is a UP in Michigan? Like, oh, yeah, it's Upper Peninsula. I don't, you know what? I wouldn't have a clue what they grow in Michigan. Not a clue. Some great rock bands over the years out of Detroit. But as far as fruit, I'd be clueless. I'm trying to... There we go. Get off the mic cable. I can feel a tug there. What kind of clay am I using? I probably already said, you know what I did already say, but I'm going to go again. This, pardon me, it's called Monster Clay. You can get it in variable working strengths. I got a medium, right? It's wax-based. So it becomes workable when it's warm. As it cools, it'll self-harden. It'll self-harden to kind of a waxy finish, too. But you can use this. I took this. His eyes fell off. After 3 years, his eyes finally fell off. But I took this little sculpt. It's self-hardened. I could still scratch it. I could still carve things out of it if I want, because it is still just a wax-based clay. But it's hard enough that I cast a mold in silicone using it. And then we cast this little guy and painted him last week. He's from that sculpt. But yeah, I could I could sculpt this, cast it, make a mold of it, cast it in resin, then take this original sculpt, warm it up in the microwave or in the oven, and it would be soft, and it would be just like this. I could work with it again over and over and over. So if you're making regular sculptures or once in a while sculptures that you want to keep or fire as is, in a different clay. If you want to rework clay over and over. The reason they call this monster clay is because it was developed to be used for special effects makeup. So they'll you've seen them cast a head of someone, right? Put a little Vaseline on their face, and then they'll start wrapping their face with it's not paper mache, but, you know, something to make a mold. Pop their face out. They put straws in their nose so they can breathe. Pop their face out, and then they pour the medium into the mold. And when it's done, they have a cast of this actor or actress's face that they can then begin to take this clay, warm it up, put on those casts, and start sculpting special effects makeup. So if you wanted somebody to be a demon with a heavy brow and things like that, you'd sculpt it with this. Then you'd take these off of that, make a mold, and cast them in whatever, you know, silicone or whatever you're going to use to apply it. And that would be your finished piece. You just keep those molds so that you can, you know, cast several of them in case they get torn, because they are awful delicate after a while. But then you can reheat the clay and make more. So that's why it was initially developed for monster makeup, essentially. You're getting sucked in. I'm still trying to get this to the form that I want it. And that it's level yet domed. Yeah, if you go on YouTube, just about like with anything else, and you type in monster clay, you're going to see a bunch of uses for it. And it's pretty damn good. All right, so it's so much thicker than I wanted it to be. Should I cut it down more? No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. We're going to use it as is. We're just going to go for it, guys. Lurking and listening at work. Michi. Did I scratch my hand? These are garden. This is all garden stuff. So there's like little bug bites, and then there's scratches from stuff, and then these little bug bites is just me doing this, not thinking about it. Shit, I'm bleeding all over my arm. I've got them up and down my leg. We're going for a more natural garden. Not everything's going to be really super manicured, but it will look like you've stumbled into an old growth forest full of fairies, you know? But keeping it natural like that means we have little chunks of meadow grass and whatnot. We get little nits. They like to hang around. And they like to get on you, and they like to put little bites all over you. Go through a lot of hydrocortisone in this house. Just made a PB and J, went to make coffee, and your cat slapped my sandwich off. Yeah, testing gravity, like Bubble says. All right. Squaring it off just a little bit, making sure that I'm all tapered around. And then I'll start smoothing this down. It's not going to be perfect. We don't want it to be perfect. We want it to look handmade because, you know, that's what it is. It's artistic. This is an artistic expression of a YouTube play button. It's not meant to emulate, or, I mean, exactly duplicate a play button. It just is. There we go. That looks good. We talked about this the last time we sculpted. Getting a guitar string. Good old ball. So this would be the high E. It to myself so that it doesn't slide. And it just does not want that much. But I'm getting it. There we go. Boom. Got a nice flat surface on this side. Sort of. I'll clean that up a bit. I wanted to get this up so I could get it in my hands and really kind of look and see what I got. Yeah, squish that down a little bit on the top, and it's a goer. I like it. Cool, if the raised part of the play button had a knit or yarn design, it would be cool. I don't know how we would do that except to do it by hand. I'm going to think about it. No guarantees. I'm going to think about it. Let's get this stuff up. If you have a lacquered surface like this cheese board, this stuff comes right up. Super easy. Super easy, just like that. All right. I'm just going to use to kind of level and spread some of this. Friction will warm up some of the surface too, so. Got a hole there. I don't see it right there. All right. The surface even more. It's just the very surface workable. Takes edges and lines out. Something that you would do at the end of your sculpt as well. It's just kind of, if you want that, if you want smoother, more natural transitional lines. Then use a brush with a little alcohol. You can't see it, but I've got a goddamn cat hair. All right, let's find this thing. Let's get this out of here. Cat hair. Little black one. So Zuzu at some point got in this room. Like it was never there. Okay. Let's carve our place in wood. Right? It's not perfectly smooth. Or does it need to be? I don't, we don't. This is a good way to look at it though. This does give me some reference for getting some of the bigger raisins down. Much better already. Oh. All right. To find the center of a square or a rectangle, you do the X from corner to corner, right? We're just gonna have to rough that idea. So I'm gonna find the relative center just with a piece of paper. Okay, the top down, I'm right about there. And that in place there, and bring this there, and that is that. And then I'm just going to take and just do a quick mark. Really light. Barely see that. We'll do the same thing here. That corner. That corner. Okay, and that even looks center to me. To my eyeball, that looks center. So that's where we're going to start. And in order to carve, let me put this away. I got a little guitar string just kind of hanging out. All right, there. Take care. All right, that's my center right there. Can you see where those lines cross? Yeah. That's my relative center. Let's find the tool with the tiniest little ball on it. I don't even think that's the tiniest one. It'll work if it's not. Slightly tinier ball. All right, let's use the slightly tinier ball. And that's our center. Then I want our point to be here, which means I have to come equidistant to get the backside. Okay. Now I can just ensure that I get an eyeball's worth of equal distance from this little center mark before I start to taper to that mark. Right? How that's supposed to look? Terrific. Okay. This is starting to harden. I'm actually going to let it harden a little bit more before I start carving stuff out of it. These lines, just inside of these lines a little deeper, just to make sure that I've got exactly the lines I want. There we go. Those look good. This looks like half a potato. So thick. All right, what can we use to start digging? One of the things we can use to start digging, let's just take these tools out. One of the things we can use to start digging is a tool that I made, speaking of guitar strings. Just get everything that I think I'll need. Okay, so these are the things I think I'll need. This guy, obviously. It's a nice point, and I can really kind of edge the lines. But for digging, I've got two tools, or three tools. I've got this, which is a little spear tip, and I can take and flake things out of there. And that is more, almost for finish work, just kind of getting the layers level and then going in and cleaning it up. This is really the digging tool. These guys right here. This is for much larger surface. If I'm really trying to scrape, if I'm making a mold and I'm trying to make a big cheekbone and then go into a kind of a caved in look, I'll sculpt that cheekbone and then I'll just start digging the clay out under it to get that sunken look, and I smooth it out. This, with the corners, is probably what we'll use the most to dig out, because it'll pull things out. This we won't necessarily use at all. We might for texturing. But this is something I made with a paintbrush and a guitar string for two reasons. This is not really a digging tool because it's very flexible, where this one is rigid. But also, the wrap of the guitar string, you kind of see those little lines. You certainly feel it with your fingernail. As you're pulling, you are pulling clay off the surface. You're also leaving behind a really neat texture. It's A, easy to smooth because it's fine lines, but B, makes for a nice texture if you just want to leave it. So, all right, this is hardening up a bit. We're gonna go ahead and just take the fine tip and dig the edge lines a little deeper. Whole hog too quickly, because then we'll deform it. taking these layers off. Sure. Start to see the clay come up inside it right there. Just gonna dig it out until we get to a depth that we think is sufficient. You know what would be great for the yarn background is whatever we use as a base to put this on, because we're gonna mount it. We may sculpt the base. We may not. We may make this, cast it, paint it, and then make a more multimedia backing for it. We'll figure that out as we go. If we do that, we could just use actual yarn. Music's still pretty loud. Sorry about that, guy. In fact, let me bring the tone down a bit. Should have done that earlier, but I didn't. Just keep it right about there. All right. So yeah, we're just digging out that play button. What's everybody else working on? What's your craft today? Got something on the table in front of you? Do you have something hidden from the boss while you're sneaking a look at CraftHole at work? Do you have something at home that you're working on when you get off work or get back home, whatever you're doing? That part scraped out, but I still want it to be a little deeper, so I'm just going to cut those lines a little deeper. Scrape out the next layer. Sleeve BKR for the base. Sleeve and BKR for the base would be super cool, or a blank where you could push in the pattern. Figure something out, Emily. Something along those lines. Crocheting the alt knots, June Stitch and Scream Square. Is this a square? What's going on there with Kayla with alt knots? Is this a thing that you do every month as a different square, and then by October you've got yourself an Afghan? How does that work? What's going on there? Second Christmas gift for a family member right now. Marie, making the Christmas gifts is the best way to go. Sewing up the space shuttle while you read website documentation. Well, sorry about part of that. Your space shuttle looks great, though. I saw that the other day. I also saw the other thing, which I'm sure is the rocket booster, the solid rocket booster penis thing that you had. I thought it was great. There you go, Emily. By December, you'll have a blanket. That's perfect. Well, Brat, what haven't you started? You're crocheting a cardigan. Man, I saw a cardigan last night on... I tuned in for Show and Tell last night, and somebody was making a granny square cardigan with a nice rib stitch at the bottom. Oh man, it looked great. It was awesome. I think that thing's awesome. So whoever was doing that, good on you. Anybody catch what today's CraftHole song of the day was? It's in the description. It's always in the description. As a matter of fact, this week I will be releasing the link to the CraftHole Spotify account, wherein you will find our Song of the Week playlist. Right now we're at about, we're at 6 or 7 of them. But that'll just be added to every week so you can tune in and have fun. Vicky C, that was you? Boy, oh boy, good job. Excellent job, Vicky C. I really, really enjoyed that. I mean, I love everybody's projects and the show and tell. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. It's amazing to me that we lose so many viewers when we started up. But I love it. And I don't want BK to ever stop doing it. We may end up having to limit it. When we move into the new studio, we may end up having to do things like limiting show and tell to like single post, single, item. Just to, just so we can be prepared for the amount of time that things like that are going to take up. Because once we get in that new studio, there's going to be so much more we can do show-wise. Now that we're at 1K, geez, I think BK has a call in tomorrow with Mittens' agent. Mittens is a big over-promiser, but we'll see. He's supposed to show up for his own segment, but we'll see. He is his own cat. I say that with love, but yeah. Oh, I don't know what I got in my nose, but it itches like peppers. Friday the 13th cardigan from Alt Knots. Well, Michi, you know what I do is I just get in here and I get a little obsessive when I look at it. Like, no, I want it to be better. I want it to be, and I don't mean picking it apart like better quality. I mean, no, I want this to be deeper. I don't know why. I just feel like it should be deeper. I'm going to make it a little deeper right now, and then I think that'll be plenty. Then we'll smooth that out, clean that up, and decide if we want a texture in here or out here. We'll figure it out. Do something yesterday. It's so uncomfortable for me. I hate it. I'm a big fan of confrontation. Certainly not the first guy to go to fisticuffs. And I'm glad that, I figured out a way in life to avoid all that stuff. Stay out of bars, kids. That'll help. But I had to go down to the Xfinity store, which is Comcast, which is the provider of high-speed internet to Boss Kitty headquarters. As you know, since we moved, we've had nothing but trouble. We had trouble this morning. We've been having network issues, and they're all outside of our home. We've had 4 different techs visit. They've replaced all the lines from the drop line at the telephone pole to the house. From the box to the router. The router is brand new. It's all there. So it's been confirmed that it is outside of our home, but it continues. And I found out yesterday that the letter that they had apparently sent 3 weeks ago to get their tech division on this had never been received by their tech division, and no one ever followed up on it. And so I had to go down there and pick a human being and make them responsible for it. Took their name, I took their card, and then I said, I'm going to take you at your word. You're going to have a guy out here Thursday. He's going to look at my house. He's not going to waste my time anymore. He's going to get it fixed. And the guy tried to be my buddy, and I love people. I want to be kind. I want to be friendly, and I had to explain to him No, I'm not, buddy. We have a contract. That contract is you provide me with a service and I pay you on time the amount that you ask for. And you're not living up to your end of the contract, sir. You have to be assertive. You can't be a dick. You have to be assertive. You have to make sure that they understand that you know what's going on. You have to make a single person responsible. You can't just have this nebulous thing, because then you have nobody to go back and talk to about it. I don't like having to be that guy. I had to be that guy with the cable company yesterday, so we'll see what happens. Thursday they're going to come out. Our internet went down 12 times yesterday. It doesn't make you a big man. It doesn't make you an important person to have to be the aggressor, to be the person with the complaint, and to hold people accountable. It doesn't make you a big man to do that, or a hero, or somebody that, you know, should necessarily be patted in the back. It's just an unfortunate truth sometimes with people that you contract with, that you have to hold them accountable for their end of the bargain. All right, let's put a little alcohol in this and smooth this out, but you can see what we've done there. It's pretty decent depth. It's not a perfect depth, but it's fine. Let's just move some more. I ask if it was a Pacific Northwest thing or a provider thing. It's been a mess. It has been a mess. It is not a Pacific Northwest thing. I mean, look, we are a little more than a dozen blocks from the state capitol building of the capital city of a United States state in the year 2023. Just over a dozen blocks away from where our state legislature meets in order to enact the laws of the state of Oregon. They have perfect high-speed internet access. Their VPN's kind of shit sometimes. They have perfect high-speed internet access, but for some reason it screws up in our neighborhood. And I'm just done. I'm done with it. We're cable cutters, so all of our television and anything, movies that we watch, anything like that, that's all internet-based. And I understand outages occasionally. Come on. Tighten up these lines, tighten up these walls a little bit. Sure it's even. Corners where all the clay gets bunched into them start to get a little high. It's a lot of work for just cutting a triangle out of clay, right? I don't care. Pace. The activity. I initially started my rant by asking if anybody picked up on the CraftHole song of the day. I was thinking about it because just the other day I watched something about the rise of kind of Coachella culture, where you had the children of famous people becoming Instagram influencers, and that they had taken events like Coachella and others and turned them into photo ops to further fuel their influencer status. And it immediately struck me that a song that came out almost 50 years ago Nailed that culture right on the head. A song called Showbiz Kids by Steely Dan. It contains the line, all the showbiz kids making movies of themselves, you know, they don't give a fuck about anybody else. That line hit me square in the head while I watched that show. And so that is today's CraftHole song of the day. Timely from 50 years ago. Shaping up nicely. Use a little silicone to smooth the walls. Oh, Boss Kitty's in here. Hang on. I gotta scroll back now. See what kind of bullshit she's throwing in here. In the other room. You are. Clearly paying attention. Catastrophe, you're having problems with Comcast? You come to me. I will tell you how to speak to them. I figured it out. Melanie Crochets, thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, Elizabeth McInnes. Must be super hard to have famous parents. Clean up the top of these. Simple. I milked it for as long as I could. Actually, this corner needs a little tightening. Let's use this guy. This one corner is a little. Play button. Do we texture this play button? So what YouTube does, you can see these are their buttons. Look at this one. This is their diamond button. I think it's 10 mil. Is your diamond button? Come on, come on. 10 mil is the diamond button, and there it is. Pretty cool. There's a B thing. There's people with their diamond buttons. And that's the kind of button I'm making, sort of. Except mine's going to be a little button on a plaque. Here's like this. Like PewDiePie's, except not... No, I don't want to see that either. Let's see, now I've gotten that off there. But I would cut it off right about here. So I'm going to make some sort of different background, but we will have a button. Should I texture the button surface? That's a good question. And I might actually just texture it with this. Whoops. Just texture it with this so we can just have some fine scratchy lines. I can try it. We can always smooth it out if it doesn't work. Okay, Catastrophe, you ditched Comcast for your internet. Do they offer a consistent upload speed of 40 plus megabits per second? And I mean consistent throughout. There's no route switching, nothing like that. Just a consistent network upload speed of 40 megabits per second or higher. If they do, I will look into them. All right, so let's look and see. I'm just going to grab a piece of clay out of here. We're going to start using this just to see what kind of lines we get in it. What kind of angle would be best. And I'm not really finding, this is usually for smaller, less conspicuous bases. So these are smaller lines. I don't know if I'll be able to group them in such a way that there's a consistent texture. So once I cross them, they just turn into mush. So this works really well for the limited usage that I want from it, but I don't think it works well to texture this particular piece. Let me just keep trying this until I see what it looks like. Yeah, I don't know if this is it, so we'll find something else. Just texture that. A bar of YouTube branded soap. I can, with those silicone molds, if I get food grade silicone, I can use this to cast chocolate molds. I think. Left is pretty sure the answer is yes. All right, send me the info, and we'll work from there. All right, so let's maybe work on a background. So in order to work on that background, I need to soften up this clay. So let me go do that. 2 minutes? 2 minutes. I'm leaving you now, but I promise I will be back. It's not as if you're to blame. Your mother and I have just grown apart, and that's why I'm leaving. I will be back in just a couple of minutes with some soft clay, and we'll try to figure out what we're going to do for a background for this little plaque. All right, give me 2 seconds. Some clay. This is gonna be good. All right, if I can get that up there. Let's set this little guy aside for now and let him harden. I got an idea while I walk back in the kitchen to warm up the clay. I got this idea. This is gonna be gushy underneath. And that is that I'm gonna try to make the base piece that we will stick the thing on. I'm going to try to make that as quickly as I can. If I can't make it quickly, then by the time I get it, I might heat it up just a little bit again. And then I'm going to press some some knitted up or crocheted up yarn into it. Not hard, just on the surface, just kind of pat evenly along the surface so that when I pull it up, it will leave an impression of yarn, and that will be our texture for our background. What do you think? Fantastic service, minimal outages. Are they strictly rural? I know, Hubbard is not far from where we are, but it is still technically a rural area as opposed to being in the city. What are you doing with that? Is this what you want me to roll on? Oh, what is this? Oh, so BK was just in a meeting, in a 2-hour training meeting for the state of Oregon. And while she was in the meeting, she had the e-spinner going, and this is what she just spun up. She cannot focus on a single thing at once. She has to focus on 5 things, and then she has a breakdown because she's overwhelmed. But this is one of the 5 things she was doing while she was supposed to be having a meeting. And I think it's lovely. Real good job. I like it a lot. What are you going to do with it? Okay. Pink lemonade or raspberry vodka? I bought some Topo Chico, that mineral water that I used to drink all the time when I lived in Texas. Topo Chico. And I had some Burnside whiskey, which is a distillery in Portland on Burnside Avenue, if you didn't know. And I combined them into a whiskey Chico. And let me tell you, Chico has plenty of whiskey. It was good. All right, we're just flattening out. I can't find my rolling pin, so I don't know if this base is going to be super flat. But what we're going to do is sit it like this and then get it in shape, pull it off, flip it over, and that side will be flat. And actually, we'll have a cheese letters in it, but I can flatten it. So let's make a shape. I'm just going to squeeze this out, get it to the flat or the depth that I want it, flip it, put the impression in it, and then cut it into a square. So let me just work on getting this moved out from the center. As even depth as I can all the way across it. Might need a little more clay. Where'd you say that rolling pin was? No, I didn't find it there. If you could grab it for me, you'd be a hero. I'm gonna get my rolling pin. I was just informed it is the rolling pin that belongs to the kitchen and not to me. It's my German coffee with monk fruit sweetener, toasted marshmallow, nut pod creamer. That's a lot. Is it good? Oh, thank you. Some legit pressure on this. Lift it up, see if it's higher in the middle. Goodness. Should have used my guitar string for this. I'll lay it back down, it's fine. Press it a little out from the middle just to make sure. Still looks a little high in the middle, so let me get some actual pressure there. All right, is it even big enough? Let's look again at our play button. Yes, so I'm gonna actually probably cut a little square like that. So it's gonna be an odd one, but it'll have like a thick border. So let me punch in my texture. I might have to heat it up. What I'm gonna use is this little ball sock for yarn balls. This ball sock will give me, I believe, the texture I want. If not, then obviously I just have to heat it up and try again. Left will message me about the internet. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so it's not really showing up. It is a little bit, but not to the degree I want it. So I'm going to roll it out a little and take this and warm it up. I know, I hate to leave again. You all are really sorry to see me go. But I'm going to heat this up. This will only take about 30 seconds. By the way, next Thursday, this Thursday when we come back, one of the things that we're going to build is a clay warming cabinet. So you heat the clay up. It's basically a box with insulation and aluminum foil all the way through it. And then on the top of that box is a hole and a shop light. Put a shop light over it so it'll heat up, and the insulation will have to keep the reflected heat in the box. You just open up the front of it, pull your clay out. It'll always be in. So we can do that, set it up over here so I don't have to keep going back and forth. Rolling pin over the ball sock. Yes, rolling pin over the ball sock once I soften the clay to the point where it will accept the texture. You know what? Let me try it just before I go. Let's actually try that. Let's see if it actually if it might work this way. Oh, that's not so bad. Here, I did all that without you guys seeing, but that's not so bad. And I'll show you that in a second. So let me set it up here. It's in there. So when we cast and paint it, all that detail will come up. So let's just call that. That's good. I like that. And I didn't have to get up and get out of here to do it. So we're going to call that there. Now let's figure out what that square is. Need a straight edge, which I got. 1 second. What I do not have right now is my craft knife, so we're going to use this straight edge. And we're going to cut it as straight as we can. The border is going to help us out a little bit. Alright, so what I'm going to do is try to find the widest bits and then trim away the shortest. So the widest bits are going to be, do the square this way, this way, this way, this way. This is going to be the shortest side, so I'm going to measure that out and try to get the most I can. I know that doesn't make any sense because it didn't make sense to me. There's a scoop. Let's try this. There's my line. It's not all the way through, but I can break that open. Okay, there's the top. Well, it's going to be smaller than I thought it would be. So there's the bottom right there. Oh well, it's just going to be what it's going to be, kids. It's going to be small. It's going to be a small background. I didn't use enough clay initially, so that's on me, but I don't care. Because there's no wrong in this project. There is only Zool. Congratulations from Lily and Chan. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Just waking up. Think about that. You know what? This isn't even going to be square, and I kind of like that too. This is just a no-mistake project. Yeah, it's not even going to be square, and I kind of like the fact that it's just going to be an irregular shape. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Let's keep it that way. Let's keep this irregular shape. What do you say? Burp. It's not really what I want. Let's try this one. Play pile. Go back to the tool that brought me to the dance. Pin-size play button with the leftover clay. Oh, for her. That is SMRT smart. Here in chat. Sorry to go quiet there. Straight lines make me quiet. Who's here in chat that was ever with us on Twitch? We've been on YouTube since for about 1 year now. We were on Twitch for 3 years before that. or any of you that are here, other than I think Catastrophe came over with us. Bubbles, I don't know if you did or not. Okay, so there it is. It's an odd shape, and you can't really see until you get up there, but you can see the impression of the yarn. That texture will pop when we paint it. Doesn't look like much now, but it will look like what it's supposed to look like when we get there. I'm gonna make some sort of weirdo little frame. Be golden. What did you do, Bubbles? I was asking if anybody that is here now was here with us when we were on Twitch. And I don't remember if you were here. I'm sure you were here for that. I don't remember. It's sad. I'm sure you were here for Twitch. I don't remember who here was, other than you and Catastrophe, was here since we were on Twitch. You came over on a raid from Twitch? It's awesome. Those are good stories. YouTube sort of got that now, where you can raid another streamer, but you have to... the only people that can raid your stream are people that you have already spoken with and given permission to. Which is pretty good. Making a waffle stitch scarf as a second Christmas gift. You miss Omnivore on Twitch. You know what? Since we hit 1K, I kind of want to do another... We used to call them drive-alongs because what we were doing was mostly just working with the guys that drove around, stringers, drove around Bakersfield, Los Angeles, New York. But since then, there are a number of cams and things that have come up in bars and whatnot, and they're a ton of fun. So it's mostly just a kind of a window in the world. Checking people out, people watching, like you used to be able to do at the airport. But I think since we've hit 1,000, this weekend I'll do another one of those little window on the world streams. We'll just have fun, hanging out, checking out people in bars and on the city streets and driving around LA and New York, whatever we feel like doing. Good music, it's a good time. People that hang out have the best time. Those are the most fun streams. We'll do another one. I'll put something in Discord when it comes around to it. You know how we did the where was it now? I'm looking for a little fairy door. We sculpted the fairy door on the sides. We had these wood branches. Actually, you can see that, right? These like tree branches, and then the cut off branches from there. Do I want to do that here? So like a wood frame on a knit thing with a play button in the middle for 1K for a crochet streamer or a fiber streamer? Yeah, why don't we do that? Killingsworth started watching at the end of 2020. That sounds about right. Yeah, Bubbles, I consider anyone that came over from Twitch to be OGBK. JK Knits was the first Twitch streamer that we found. We just reached out to her and said, hey, we're thinking about doing this. Here's some yarn, by the way, because we like what you do. And she became a friend over the years. Still with us. I think it's great. And, by the way, still has a Twitch channel, still streams. Along with Jesse from Texas, Dio. These are folks that are crochet, craft, and game streamers over on Twitch. If you have a stream, we have a channel in our Discord that is a directory of our viewers' streams. Only if you have one, post in there, but only post once. We want it to be a directory. We don't want a lot of cross chat. We want people to be able to go find you and move on and make it easy to, so just post one time, say this is my channel and this is what I do, and you'll be part of that directory. And then folks in our Discord can go in there and find streamers that they want to follow. What is it that y'all miss about Omnivore? What part of Omnivore do you miss? Because it's you know, it's a lot of work to do all of these things. This is gonna be should heat something up to get a little silt, so I'm gonna make another one of these for the other side. Just making tubes. It's a tube making Tuesday. Dio gifted you your first BK Twitch sub. That's right. For a long time, Dio, so supportive, would just come in and drop like a dozen subs on Twitch just to help us out. She's great. Still is great. Chill streams, the ride-alongs. Well, I'm going to start doing those, I think, more on the Discord. Because on the Discord, I don't have to worry about playing my music, you know? And I feel like my music is part and parcel of all that. I can't do that on Twitch. So we do it on our Discord. Folks can hop in and watch, just like they were watching on YouTube or Twitch. Interact. We've got live chat in there with everybody. Wake the fuck up was what it needed to be when it needed to be. There was a period of time when I needed to be up and around to get some things done, kind of change my sleep cycle and all that. And so to be responsible, I said, let me just do a morning show for a little while. And I did. I experimented with a couple of things. We did some news. We looked at some odd stuff. We had fun. It was fun. It was a fun channel. But I'll be doing more of this stuff on Discord. Probably this weekend we'll do another of our no longer ride-alongs. We'll call them sessions. I don't know what we'll call them, but we'll figure something out. We'll do one on Discord this weekend. If I don't save a VOD, then what am I? Can't really build on Twitch without saving VODs. I can do it on Discord because nobody gives a shit. So these two, I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. They're just two things that lay there as part of this button. I'm going to make two more things that lay there as part of this button. Then I'll figure out. I'll flatten them for a frame. I'll carve into them. I'll do something. Eggy gave you your first Twitch sub. Yeah, and then disappeared into the wilds of Nebraska. There are a number of fiber-related live streamers on YouTube. Far more than we realized until we got into it and started meeting people and checking out other streams. Lots of them. So we're trying to figure out, you know, how can we do this differently? And I think the dye streams are going to be a big part of that. So you're going to want us out in that new studio as soon as we can get out there. The games and the giveaways, I think, are different, but, you know, we don't want to be a gimmick. So you tell us. There's a lot of you here that came from other fiber streamers. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you want to see, what you think would set us apart from the others. We're going to keep rolling stuff out, trying new things. But, give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. It's only had one paw when you joined, and then Christmas came, and Mittens got Christmas got a second paw? Yeah, I got a second paw for Christmas. And then sometime later, saw a doctor had a third paw grafted on. We haven't seen that third paw in a while. Mitten's kind of okay with his 2-paw status for the time being. Just gonna set that there. Probably that's not how they'll look in the end, but they are. I'm just putting aside the clay, because I know how much clay I'll need for those things. Well, you know, looks like a hot dog, Tina Hooper. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, all right. Yeah. Looks like somebody's space shuttle project. Genuinely think Boss Kitty's in its own category. Well, I appreciate that. The deal is, if we were truly in our own category, then that would mean that there are only a couple of thousand people that watch fiber-related live streams, and we've started to max out on that amount, because I've noticed that most of these fiber-related live streamers, somewhere between 1,000 and 1,800. Then there are those that get some recognition somewhere else, and boom, they blow up, and they've got 13, 15,000, and that's great. And those are the people that I look at and say, well, what can we do even though we can't do regular video content? We're just doing lives. Where do we fall there? You know, what can we do there? And again, it's not about monetizing the channel, having more people to monetize the channel. It's about having more people exposed to Boss Kitty. That's our livelihood. That's what we do. Okay. So this is the clay that I will need for this frame, whatever this frame is going to be. And that's what I've got to figure out now. And then probably go warm it up one last time to work with it. Let me check the time real quick. 12:30, about a half an hour. Figure something out in between there. We'll take a second to just kind of chat with each other. Let me check up on chat because I miss it. I miss stuff as it flies by. Story time. You mean Melanie? Story time on what? Story time on the old Omnivore channel, like when on the Wake the Fuck Up show, where I would read. I used to read books in the morning. We'd talk about some stuff. We'd have some coffee. We'd chill in the morning. We'd listen to a little music, and then I would read stories, short stories, science fiction, whatever. Short story. I read The Most Dangerous Game, I think was the last story that I read. Story time is nice. It was a lot of fun. Is it me, or does my project look crooked, Tina Hooper? My project is crooked on purpose. I started cutting this thing, and I was like, oh, I can't get a good line to get a good natural square or rectangle, so let's just funky it up. So we're funkying it up. This is going to be our little gift to BK, and it will be our 1K YouTube play button. I just haven't figured out what I'm doing with this. I think I'm going to flatten them and make a frame out of them. I think I shall. Let me get those out of the way. Put my play button over here while it hardens. Take this little base while it hardens and get it up. I'm going to have to get my guitar string back out. Figure out what I did with it. Damn, I have such a mess up here. There we go. Good old Ernie Ball 11 gauge. Go to the corner and work our way across. That enough to get it started up? I can bend it a little bit because it'll flatten back out, but I don't want to bend it too much because I'll lose that texture. Let's get these out of the way. Social media algorithms have been screwing over food for me. Just short content to be TikTok clones in. Yeah, Yeah, we can't follow the trends of being the most popular creator. We certainly don't want to do that. We don't want to chase anybody. We don't want to do things that aren't really in our wheelhouse just to get eyeballs. But we know that there is a substantial fibercraft audience out there, and they're on YouTube, and we just want them to know that we're here. We can do that because already we do pretty well for ourselves with Boss Kitty, just as we are. And I mean Boss Kitty Shop, Boss Kitty the business. But in order to sustain it and make it a sustainable income that lasts for many years, which is what anybody that starts a little business wants, we have to grow. Kristen Omdahl, a knit and crochet designer with 100,000 subscribers, used to go live on a consistent schedule, and there were only like 85 people. I think most people watch the recording. Yeah, we do. We'll end a live with maybe 85 people will have come in and out of the live, but then by the next morning, there's 170 views on it and more. So yeah. We don't care when they watch them. I mean, we love to have them live. Smaller audiences are actually easier to keep up with, especially if you try to be interactive like we do. But just having the eyeballs there, having people. We utilize the community feature on YouTube to kind of reach out to folks in their YouTube stream. They're already on YouTube. They're looking at their feed, and then there's a little community message from Boss Kitty saying, hey, we're going live in a couple hours. That's handy. So many artists of every meeting scrambling to find platforms because nothing is sustainable. A lot of people are burning out. Yeah. Again, that's what I'm saying. We don't want to chase. We want to do what we do. We just want to know if, guys, we want more of the tutorials, or people really like, we want to work with pattern designers. Like, we want to work with a lot more of the YouTube pattern designers. We thought we were going to do a nice project with one of them this year, and then we got ghosted. So, but we'll be doing a lot more of that. We're not trying to chase to be the biggest and best. We don't have any. I don't think that's not going to happen. A, and B. I don't know. It's not our goal. We're not out to be YouTube stars. We're out to be a successful hand-dyed yarn company. Really, that's it. We would much rather create a community of solid folk than to be the biggest thing in the history of the platform. That just doesn't mean anything to any of us. Alright, let me flatten that out. Or you can really see the impression of the cheese letters in there from the cheese board. Let's flatten that out and set it aside. Still have the yarn texture in it, which is great. So YouTube, sit over here. You want to time out, but only for the best reasons. All right, there's these 4 things, and I'm going to squish them into a frame for our background. But in order to do that, I have to warm them up. So give me a second to go do that. Warm up my little clay hot dogs. We'll come back, we'll make a little frame. And then when the frame's done, we'll be done until we get a little more silicone and we make a mold for this. So one more time, I'm going to step aside and heat up some clay, and then I will be right back to finish this up. Okay, I appreciate you guys being patient with me. Wait a minute. I appreciate you being patient with me, and I'll be back momentarily. fascinating trip to the kitchen. Apparently the cats missed a feeding, and Khan gave me what I can only describe as a tabby death rattle when I went in there. Let's go back to this space here. Dawn, thank you for the congratulations. Look at this. I've melted this down and I'm squishing it again because I had a different idea. I'm so glad we're here that we reached 1K. Would it make things easier to use parchment paper under your clay? Yes, it would, but I didn't have any. Yeah, normally I would. We talked about that last time. As a matter of fact, I had some out here last time. And then it disappeared. I looked for it, looked for it, looked for it, looked for it. So today I just said, hell with it. I'll just make it happen one way or the other. That's what we're doing. All right, this guy's going to go flat. And he is going to be a frame that I cut out. And behind it, I'll put some supports. Yeah, good to see you in here. How are you? We had a friend come over for the housewarming party. Somebody we hadn't seen in several months. And they came and brought their new boyfriend with them. And shit you not, this guy's name is Ruger. I thought it was Burger. Like, I heard Burger. No, she's around. I thought I heard Burger. And I thought, well, his name is Burger. Okay. No, his name is Ruger. So someone named their child after a pistol manufacturer. He's a nice enough guy. I didn't really get a ton of time to talk to old Ruger. But I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm certainly not making fun of the name. It's just not a name you hear that often. I mean, I probably know more Alphonses than I do Rugers. Don, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Really kind of you. I appreciate anytime anybody does that. Y'all are super kind and generous with your time and your space and your socials. All right. I'm gonna have to really stretch this one out to make the frame that I want to make, but I can do it. I don't have to stretch out much further than that. Hey, Mom, I made you an afro. I had a friend who had a boyfriend named Radu. Love exotic names, you know. I really do. I love exotic names. I love learning about cultures that I don't know much about. Fascinating. That was a fascinating name. This is... Let's see what we can do. Stretch it out a little bit more. Watch Murder, She Wrote Season 7. Marie Howlett, we had a friend. We still have a friend. Her husband worked for many years as the chief of a big comic book company. But she, while being a fan of all things nerdy, had one particular obsession, and that was Murder, She Wrote. And she kept swearing she was going to, and she may still, one day, do a Murder, She Wrote podcast where every episode of the podcast was the next episode of Murder, She Wrote. So she would watch and review with her friends every episode of Murder, She Wrote. I thought it was a tremendous idea. I'm a big fan. I hope she does it. I think it would be great. All right. So let's make a funky... Where'd my thing go? Here it is. Just make a funky set of lines here for a frame. About a ½ inch out. 1/4 inch to a ½ inch out from the other bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be. Frame shape, and I'm going to do it. The frame shape can even be a little funky and not particularly straight lines, or straight lines, but see how that's offset too? Love it. Just going to keep going with the idea that everything's a little funky in this mess. All right, so we can take that guy off. Put you back, so we remember what we're working on. Looking and listening. Bye, Brett. I hope you have a great day too. Met a guy named Zumba. His sister was Zimbabwe. I have met some folks, Ghanaian and Ivorian. So from Ghana and from the Ivory Coast, with beautiful names. Beautiful names. I've also had a good friend whose sister used to tag along all the time, and they were great. And their name was Frederica, but no one called her Frederica. We all just called her Fred, which is, you know, a pretty common name, but nonetheless was just fun calling someone Fred. You never really get to, there's not a lot of people you get to call Fred, except people named Fred, and there's not a lot of people named Fred anymore. Other known names. Talk about Alphonse. That's still a big name, believe it or not. Maybe not in this country. There are a lot of names in this country that have gone out of favor that I remember, you know, having relatives with a Oscar. Oscar. I had a grandmother named Gladys. These are just not names that nowadays the older people are named Lisa and Zach. There are 70-year-old men now named Zach. Tyler, it's time for your medication. Okay, so there's the outside of the frame. Looking good, looking good. I'm gonna put this guy back in here, and we're gonna figure out, I'm gonna mark the corners. I don't want it to line up with this. I actually kind of want it to be oppositional. Maybe not. Maybe if I flip this and then do this, that's a little better. I like that. That's kind of funky. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mark the corners of this on this clay, and then I'll know I can go in a bit and cut around, and that will help inform me of where my internal visual cut's going to be. Okay. So let's go in. It's about 1/8 of an inch. 3/16. Let's go in about 3/16 of an inch, yeah? Aunt named Bertha. That's great. You work with a Gladys. Yeah, her name, everybody called her Hap. And the story she would tell, which I'm sure is bullshit, the story she would tell is that they called her Hap because it was nicer to be a happy bottom than a glad ass. This was hers. She also told me a hilarious dirty joke one time. That's what grandmothers are good for. Hilarious dirty jokes. Okay, so put these marks roughly in the same distance. Some a little further. It doesn't make any difference. I'm just going to draw a line between these internal marks, and there's my frame. I'll tell you my grandmother's dirty joke. You ready? What do the weather in Oregon and Cher have in common? Now remember, this joke was much more prescient in the days when Cher was a huge star. But what do the weather in Oregon and Cher have in common? Neither one of them are fucking sunny. There you go. There's my grandmother's dirty joke. I hope you enjoyed it. She got a kick out of telling it to me. Glad you all found it funny. You'll be one of those grandmas who has a dirty mind and tell dirty jokes. It will be great. Okay. Those are our... This is really going to be wild. That's going to be our play button. So there'll be very little of this background texture, but it'll be enough. That's gonna be wild. Now, we dig this frame out. Let's see what we get. Probably end up cutting this a little wider, but we'll see once I get it out. Time. When first moved to the States, dropped your middle names. Now I'm thinking about adding them back because they're old German names. Do it. Do it. When BK and I got married, there was the discussion of, do we keep our last names? Does one of us take the other one's last name? And then the option came up, we could just make up a name, and any name that we put in there we could legally be called. And so there was a lot of discussion about what middle name would we, or what name would we use? Would we hyphenate our last names? And I think what we ended up coming up with was no, but we would use a hyphenated last name. And so we considered for a while becoming the Organa Solos with the hyphen. We chickened out. Step by step, slowly I cut. Just digging. I don't have a craft knife with me, so I'm just digging these lines out until I hit the bottom. last name. Scrabble tiles and tried to make up a new last name. There you go. Only 3 vowels. Yeah. BK decided that she didn't. I mean, she loved her last name, but it wasn't anything that she was overly attached to. And that by taking my last name, she was essentially holding me accountable and making me responsible for her. So that's what she did. Did the sweetest thing with the most rotten purpose. And that, right there, is BK in a nutshell. She's the sweetest thing with the most rotten purpose sometimes. Process of crafting is the best part. When you finish something, there's a pride of completing the task. There's the admiration that you have for what you've created. Sometimes there's that beautiful, supportive, admiring feedback that you get on something you made. But the process of crafting is the most important part. It's really just about you interacting with whatever it is you're working on, whatever tool, even holding a glue gun. There's a purpose to it. And that purpose is to get you to interact with something that isn't horrible in your life, you know? Like it's real important for children to play with toys, but it's also real important for children to find sticks on the ground and pretend that there's something else. A lightsaber, a pole vault, whatever. And I think that the adult version of that, there's a kid's version of the adult version, but the adult version of that is crafting. You're playing with something. You're being forced to make something up in your brain. I didn't know that this button would be this big. I didn't know that I would use a yarn texture on this background. I sure didn't know everything would be canted and oddly shaped. It's just part of the process. Part of playing. I can't tell you, and I think that if you talk to any psychologist in the world, they would tell you that play is crazy important, even as a grown-up. So I just consider crafting a form of play and make-believe. My boyfriend and I aren't engaged, but I keep telling him that if we do get married, he should change his name instead. Why not? Why not? I know people that do that. But if it's your name, you're going to be responsible, so you better have the right person. Ever heard anyone described the way I just described BK? Well, there you go. You've never met anyone like good old Boss Kitty. She's a nut. She's a human cartoon. And I don't mean that in any other way, any way other than admiration. She's a human cartoon. And I think that's great. Boy, oh boy. I think the world could use fewer clowns and more human cartoons. That's what I'm going to propose at the next UN meeting when I'm there. Fewer clowns. Oh, old Captain Death Rattle is at the door and hates it that I have the door closed. But he knows how to jump up and pull the handle down, so he'll be in here eventually. Just slowly digging out lines that I could have cut if I'd brought a knife with me, but I didn't bring a knife with me. So we're just going with what we got. Husband wasn't responsible. Well, see right there. That should be the only thing listed ever on a divorce decree. Person's not responsible. I hit bottom. I can feel the cheese board underneath me. Dig that out. A little better. There you go. Cut like a hot knife through a warm coil. Come on. Now, we put this way, and put this way. How funky that is. Or we could turn it. Do it like that. The button can even go in a little canted, like that. To decorate this. Needs to go on here. There is that texture behind it, and then there's a play button. Now I might need one more warm-up session because what I'm looking for is something akin to in the common clay. You mix little bits of clay with water until they became very liquidy. You call that silt. You texture up a piece of clay. You texture up the other piece of clay you wanted to join, and then you lay the silt over it with your finger. And when you pressed it down, as that silt dried, it attached itself to both pieces of clay and held it in place. That's probably what I'm going to have to do with this. But in the meantime, that actually is the front, so it will be more like... Khan opened the door, and he's in. It'll be more like that. So we're going to do something, and down here they'll be a little different. Okay? So all that we're going to be able to finish up today is maybe decorating this. Let me check the time. Oh, you know what? Let's wrap it. We're going to wrap it up. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to have some silicone on order. If it's here Thursday, we'll finish this up and pour it. If it's not here Thursday, we'll finish this up. Maybe we'll do a little painting. But we will have this. By the end of the week, we will have our 1K sub play button. You know what I might do is I might come in here and just kind of screwy with that. I don't know. We'll figure that out. I probably will do a little bit of a trim on that. But we'll get this weird little play button together and in BK's hands by the first of the week. So let's call it a day on that one. Sweet. Awesome. Thank you for a wonderful Tuesday, celebrating 1,000 subs on the Boss Kitty Live channel. Just keep sharing us if you want. If you have friends that you think would enjoy hanging out in the middle of the day or being part of make-alongs or, you know, whatever, share it. Put it out there. Let people know we're here. And we'll all have fun together. That's the whole point, right? I'll have to play some bingo. Play some bingo. I hope you win big. All right, everybody that stuck around, thank you for being here on a Tuesday. We will see you Thursday at 11 o'clock where we will finish this thing. We'll get it in BK's hand. We'll cast it. When we get it done, we'll paint it. Probably some metallic paints. Man, it's going to be great. We'll get it in BK's hands. We're going to have a ball. Boss Kitty will be back here tomorrow night at 6:30, where she will officially have the Boss Kitty Live 1,000 sub party. She's going to figure something out, and we're all going to have a really good time. Let me tell you what this means more importantly than anything else, is that if you are a subscriber in the month of June, then you'll be a subscriber moving forward. If you became a subscriber years ago, you're still a subscriber. That's great. That means you are a subscriber in the month of June. If you go on any of our VODs, CraftHole, Boss Kitty Live, any of them, any of our VODs, and you leave a comment, you will be entered to win the subscriber drawing that will take place the first week of July. It was initially going to be one of the 2 blue box sets, the Doctor Who sets, and you could choose. You could choose your companions and enemies, or you could choose your box of doctors. But because we hit 1K subs, one person, one lucky subscriber will win both of them. Well over $300 worth of hand-dyed limited edition Boss Kitty yarn that celebrates 60 years of Doctor Who. So make sure, if you're a subscriber, to go leave a comment on, maybe you can even do it on the VOD for this show. Doesn't matter. As soon as it's done, it'll go up live. Or as a VOD, you can put your stuff in there. And then, yeah, we'll do that drawing first week of July on the Boss Kitty Live program. And you could win the entirety of the blue box set. So thank you very much for being subscribers. Thanks for getting us over the hump of 1,000. Now the ball just rolls downhill, and we'll pick up some steam. We'll have a great time. We'll get into a new studio in a few weeks, and everything will be great. I wish you all the best, and I will see you back here on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. Bye-bye.